Recording, and we are live. All right, I'll start us out.
Okay.
This is Victor, and now that he's done scooping out anterior insular cortexes with his melon baller, I am joined by my co-host Colton. Colton, say hello to everybody.
Hello, all. Hello, or I'm sorry. Hello. I see, and I fucked it up again. Hello, everybody. I should have said that from the beginning.
Hello, everybody. This episode obviously is a podcast, but it is also on our YouTube page at Digging Dexter. We did not live stream this episode. We're sort of testing things out, testing the waters. I think we're going to try to live stream from here on out, but we're just trying some stuff, experimenting. As we said on last episode, it's a lot to catch up with the chat. And it's so funny. It's just like, it's that small little added feature just is like,
That you'd be amazed that one little thing. It's like everyday life. You're doing normal stuff, and then you change up one little thing, and it's like, well, god damn, I can barely keep up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are doing episode 802.
Every silver lining.
And to break up a little bit, and something I try to do here and there, but I always forget about it. I try to get straight into the episode. I try to keep it as Dexter-centric focused as I can, but I did realize now that I put timestamps, if people don't want to listen to this part, they can just fast forward right to the episode. So me and Colton are going to play a little game of what I like to call 3 and only 3. And that's 3 questions and just a little bit background on us. And yep, if you don't like this part, you could feel free fast forward to the actual episode discussion. Otherwise, me and Colton are going to start 3 and only 3.
Okay.
This is something that you did on Bootlegging of Boardwalk Empire podcast. I think you just had it more as what have you been watching. I'm going to go ahead and name it the Boob Tube. So what's been on your it's been 7 months since we last spoke to everyone. 801 we just sort of, there was a lot going on with the live stream, so anything you've been watching in the past few months that's of worth that you'd like to bring up?
Oh man, the last a couple months, I'm sure there is stuff. I know for a fact that there's been things that we've binged or things that we've done here recently. But I will say here recently that we've watched, or we are currently watching, because I keep seeing a bunch of people talk about it as a show. I believe it's on Netflix, Manifest, where it's like an airplane that goes missing for like 5 years.
I think I know
and
what
then
you're
it
talking
like
about. Yeah.
shows back up. We're only like halfway through the first season right now. It starts out really good. It's a really good show. Like what I've seen so far, it gets a little bit dry for me, and so I'm having a hard time kind of keeping up with it. But from what I've been told, it never gets boring, and it's definitely not boring. So like it's keeping my interest, which is really good. It's sci-fi-ish in a way, kind of sci-fi suspense. I like it. I mean, I would recommend it to other people. And then recently, for whatever reason, I've been on a binge. Here's the nerd in me, so we can do the nerd alert. I've been rewatching Star Trek Voyager. Yeah. So I have no idea what got that into me, but I have just blown through the first 3 seasons of that in literally like 2 weeks. Like it's like every night if I can't fall asleep for whatever reason, I'm like Voyager. Like I was playing Call of Duty, and I've gotten shout out to myself 3 gold skins. So
sorry,
there we go.
Takes me a second.
3 gold. I've almost got my 4th.
On what guns?
The what AR, the AK-47, and the oh my god, the
Krig, the Farah, the XM4.
Krig, the Krig, and I am almost done with the Farah.
Nice.
So that's I was doing that. You and me were playing and stuff like that. Then I know you were doing some other stuff. I kept playing, and then kind of the same thing happened to me where I was just like, okay, this is kind of getting a little bit like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's why I put the motivation out there to like get the gold skins. So I was like, I just really want to get those, eventually get diamond. But I'm taking a break, and so I've been just going through Star Trek Voyager, and Captain Janeway is the love of my life. So,
you know, it's so funny. I've watched, I think, 3 episodes, maybe 2 episodes of Star Trek my entire life, and it was for when I was a lot more ambitious, or for another podcast. think it's called Nitpicking the Next Generation.
I actually listened to them because of your podcast. Yeah.
And those guys are hilarious. If you're at all interested in Star Trek,
funny.
they do their podcast name has changed because they're further along into the Star Trek television universe, whatever that is. But definitely give them a listen. I couldn't even tell you how to find my episodes, honestly. I'm sure I plugged them at some point, but just overall, those guys are really funny over there. What made me want to bring this question up, I think me and Marissa have been doing a lot of leading up to a pregnancy. We did Arrested Development, which is one of the funniest fucking shows ever. We've been doing a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I think they have more hits than misses, but those hits are so good. Some episodes I feel like just fall flat, but almost every episode has one hilarious moment, but the good episodes like shine all the bad episodes, you know? Like I'll watch 4 bad episodes for the one good episode.
Just Always Sunny. I've told you from the beginning.
That
is top 3, one of my all-time favorite shows of all time. Frank Reynolds is literally my favorite character in all, and I'm not even of all TV history. I will always go back to probably Frank Reynolds. He is probably my favorite character in all of TV history.
He's by far the best. And D, honestly, D is. I think D's the funniest.
Amazing.
I think D's the funniest. Frank's right there though.
D's the funniest. Frank's is just his character. It's just it's not that he's this. Yeah.
I mean,
sorry,
he doesn't.
Sorry to cut you.
No. I feel like Frank is not like he. I know he's part of the main cast, but he's like not really. But I think anytime he does anything, he's usually what the funniest part of the episode is. There's an episode.
So disgusting. Like I just want to take a beer and start gargling and be like.
There's an episode where he calls.
So disgusting.
He calls the priest. What's his name? Flick? No. What's the priest?
Rickety
name?
Cricket.
Rickety Cricket. He calls him a street rat because he's homeless, and that's all me and Marissa called each other for weeks. Like, get over here, you street rat. The main reason why I wanted to bring this up is did a little upgrading in my life. I got a huge, way too expensive 65-inch LED whatever TV. I knew a lot more about it at the time, but fucking I spent the big bucks on it, and one of the first things I watched on it was Midsummer. Have you ever seen Midsummer?
No.
Midsummer was done by, I think it's Ari Aster, the same guy who did Hereditary. You ever see Hereditary?
Mm.
Those, oh my god, if you haven't seen them, you're in for such a fucking treat. It's like it's horror, which I think horror has not been done well in the past, 10 years or so. To me personally, I don't think much horror has been good.
No, I actually agree with you on that.
But Hereditary is a fantastic movie that will creep you the fuck out, without a doubt.
That's not the South Korean movie, right?
No. Are you talking about Parasite?
Parasite. Okay, that's Parasite. Sorry.
Parasite is not necessarily horror. There's that's a very interesting movie, but no, it's Hereditary is like you probably may not want to watch it with the lights on, and it's not cheap. It's not cheap horror. It's fucking psychological. You'll be depressed after watching that movie. But this is the same guy who did Midsummer, and I saw Midsummer in theaters, and for weeks after, I felt so uncomfortable, and I was like, God damn, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen, because the way I describe it, because even like terrible movies, it's like if I had fun or if it made me feel something, I like thumbs up. It could have been the stupidest fucking movie ever, but if it made me feel something or I enjoyed watching it, I give it a pass. Midsummer, I don't even know how to describe the feeling. It's trippy. You have to watch it all in one watching. You know what other movie does it to me? 2001 Space Odyssey. I don't know what I feel after the movie is over, but I feel something. Midsummer fucking sticks in my head, and it's horror, but it's like psychological horror, whatever. If you ever eventually watch it, let me know, because
no, I will. I definitely will.
Fucking such a good movie. If anyone out there has seen Midsummer and you liked it, you know what I'm talking about and why I can't even describe what it is. Anyway, that's really what made me bring up this question and want to do these three questions. But other than that, just stupid movies here and there. I can't say anything of note that it's Midsummer's the one though. It's fucking so good.
You're bringing up horror movies, and I actually did, because I was hanging out with one of my friends this weekend, and he's really big into horror movies. Me and him, we were roommates for a long time. We used to do like horror movie like nights together because at the time each of us was dating these different girls, and they would never watch horror movies. So it was just like, man, when you would get a night like it was just me and him hanging out, we would watch horror movies, like drink, hang out, and we would watch like 2 or 3 horror movies like in a night. That was, oh man, what was like one of our favorite movies to this day? We still talk about it. Is if you've ever seen it, Event Horizon, like one of my all-time favorite.
Never
like
seen
it's
it.
sci-fi and horror. Event Horizon is so freaking amazing. It is really good. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic. But I was watching a horror movie recently that I can give a shout out to on myself. You talking about like it's something different that you watched that made you feel uncomfortable and stuff. So have you ever seen the movies? They were out for like a while ago. It was called Wrong Turn, where it was like the like camp, like they were like people like driving through like the wilderness or whatever, and like their cars got broken down, and there was like the inbred cannibals, and they were like living in the trees. They were just like, you remember like the early 2000 horror movies, everything was just like over the top graphic, like, you know, they would be like tearing people apart and stuff like that, right? There was Final Destination, there was the cannibals. It was John Carpenter remake movie, the cannibals in the desert in Nevada. Then there was Wrong Turn and stuff like that. So anyways, randomly I found out that Wrong Turn, another director made a new version of it in 2021 or 2020. One of those. I don't remember what year. I think it's 2021 though.
2021. You're right.
2021. Okay, so I think it's on the Showtime app, if I remember correctly. So if you have the Showtime app, I think you can watch this because I want to say that's how I was able to do it. And so I randomly saw it, and I was like, this has got to be god awful. I was like, this has to be so bad because they've made like 50,000 of these. And I go to watch it. It is a complete remake, 100% remake of of the original movie, but there's none of the like inbred cannibals. I don't want to go into like a lot of details on it. The plot line and everything like that is so much different that to the point where I'm like halfway through it and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a really amazing movie. Like it got my attention. It is kind of scary, but it's also what you're talking about. The movie ends and I'm like, I have like a lot of weird questions going on. Like
that makes me want to see it. Yeah, I'll definitely get around to seeing it. You're right. All the other apps has it looks like a paid or premium subscription, but definitely it is on Showtime. Not that we're shills for Showtime, but definitely
no.
I'm
if you happen to have it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll look into that. My second question, and not to sound weird. I don't know. I should have just said it, but it probably sounded a lot less weird in my head. Your shower procedure. You get in the shower.
Okay.
What are you doing first? Your soap, your shampoo, your face wash?
Well, I don't do face wash because I'm a Neanderthal.
Do you use soap on your head too? A bar of soap?
No.
Iris spring all over.
I am kind of weird on this. I get wet and then I soap first, soap down, wash all the way, and then I shampoo. I have a beard, so shampoo my hair, shampoo the beard. While I'm shampooing the beard, I also scrub my face, and then I shower that off. And yeah, that's about it.
I used to have the same procedure. I heard someone say once that if you do it that way, you're essentially letting all the dirty oils from your hair wash down on your body after you've already soaped your body.
Then.
So I do the opposite. I shampoo first. I let it all go on. Then I do soap and then face wash at the end.
Yeah, but then I have extra oils on the rest of my face that's keeping me like moisturized. That's how I've got these amazing. I don't know. It's probably disgusting.
And the third and final question was actually sent by a listener, and it was specifically directed towards you, Colton.
Oh. Okay.
His name, hold on here, I'll get it. He messaged me on Instagram, Justin Juan Kenobi, or some iteration of that. I couldn't tell exactly, but he wanted me to ask you specifically 9 times
okay.
7.
9 times, what the fuck? 9 times 7? Oh my god! It's just because I'm so bad at math.
Dude, when I got the message, I laughed so hard.
53. Damn it! Justin 1 Kenobi, I hate you.
You want to try again?
9, 18, 27, 35.
See, kids, this is why we tell you stay in school, because you don't want to be on a podcast reviewing a show
63,
that's 8 years old.
63.
And
Comic Core son of a bitch.
you have some smartass from Instagram who wants to ask the host a question just to embarrass him. So he had a follow-up.
Okay.
9 times 7. I added the follow-up.
63. I'm not. You can see it. I wasn't actually doing. I was laughing, but 63.
I added the follow-up, but he messaged me like, "Hey, I was so excited to hear you guys are back. Something," and he was like, "Oh yeah, and Colton too." So I was like, "Ha ha ha! Thanks for listening. I really appreciate you." And he's like, "Oh, by the way, X Colton with 7 times 9." I thought it was the funniest fucking message.
Oh my god!
And then I threw in as like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna ask him, and I'm gonna throw in a kicker of I'll ask him then 7."
That's so funny.
Oh god. All right. Let's start.
Assholes.
I can't wait till he listens to this. It's gonna be. I'll show you the message, dude. It's so funny.
That's so funny. No, like I'm literally Justin. I hope you don't ever fucking listen to this. I'm just kidding. That's actually really funny.
I think we've tried this before, but I'll try to get if you like if you want to ask us something fucking super random, because we for the most part we usually like talking about it, but definitely try to carve out a little bit of the beginning portion. And again, I always say if you find this part fucking super boring, just I put the timestamps in the episode for that specific reason, so you don't have to listen to us bullshit in the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, want to get into the episode?
Yep.
Again, this episode.
Every silver lining.
So, Colton, there's something this episode, among all of the 96 episodes of the Dexter universe, has one specific key to it. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say no, I don't. No.
This episode, do you know who directed it?
Oh, no, I didn't look that up.
The star of the Dexter TV show, Michael C. Hall.
I was literally was gonna say, is it Michael C. Hall? Shit, God damn it, I should have just said it. God damn it.
This episode has the only episode of the series where Michael C. Hall obviously not only acts in it, but he also directed it.
Oh, really?
I remember what?
No, so he doesn't direct after this, as far as we, not including because we don't know nothing about that. But we're assuming he doesn't, because what's his name does like 10 episodes or something like that. But this was it. This was the only one.
I'm
really?
99% sure, because I think there is way too much going on to do both for a whole season. Now I'm gonna look at it, because now you have me. Yeah, so I can't find it, but I only have him. You know what? I'm willing to be proven wrong, but I'm 99. Yeah, I'm 100% sure. This is the only episode he's directed.
Okay.
I would
episode.
I would imagine if you're on the Dexter set for, at this point, this would be 85 episodes, and this is the 86th episode. You kind of like, how the wheels turn, so like, so I there was, obviously it's interesting to see like what the main. I mean, let's all talk like. Something that probably doesn't get talked about enough is how much Michael C. Hall holds this whole entire show together. Like, he is.
Oh,
you can say this was stupid. You could say this plot line was stupid. You could say so much stuff. You can never say Michael C. Hall's acting was not up to par. So it was just so there's a Showtime podcast with Scott Reynolds did a few episodes with people, and they kind of review some of the episodes. And Michael C. Hall was just saying how exhausting it was, because he had to like, this is where I want the camera on this shot, and this is where that, and then he'd have to like, almost like we're doing right now, like we're doing a podcast with the thing, and then like I'd have to go on the other side and like do the podcast, and then come back and like nope. Yeah, he said it was so exhausting. But then what he said was pretty funny was, it was so almost demoralizing have to go back into episode 803 where he's just the actor and someone else has to tell him what to do,
Oh
I'm
wow!
pretty
Yeah, I wouldn't even think about
I'm
that.
pretty sure Bryan Cranston did the same thing with Breaking Bad. I think he directed one episode. But I mean, Dexter. I'm sorry, Michael C.
I
Hall.
didn't know Brian. I didn't
Michael
know
C.
Bryan
Hall
Cranston directed an
knows
episode.
the core of this. You know, he was there fucking filming for 85 episodes. Like he knows how this machine is run. You know,
Yeah.
so it's probably a little bit easier versus another actually proven director. But I wanted to bring that up because this episode does hold that distinction above all other episodes.
Okay.
Episode
That's
title.
cool.
Yes. Episode title, Every Silver Lining. Do you know what the quote's from, or the saying, the cliche?
Yeah, it's like the silver lining. Man, and I'm probably gonna get this wrong. The only reason I know this, I think there was like a movie called or a TV show called Silver Linings or something like that. If I
think that
remember
sounds
right. Isn't it? It's like a silver lining. It's like basically it's when you think something like really shitty is going on, and then there's like this underlying like nice thing that's happening. You just don't realize it until it actually like shows itself. Essentially,
sort of. If I'm reading right off the internet, the saying is every cloud has a silver lining. Yeah, and that means every sad or unpleasant situation has a positive side to it. So I guess in the meaning in terms of clouds and whatnot, it's just sort of like, you know, after the clouds comes the sun. You know, after the rain comes the rainbows. So I think in particular this episode,
Beatles songs over here.
That's our other podcast. Shh. I think so in relation to this episode, you know, because I think it's the exact moment, right, where Vogel's like, yeah, you're a psychopath and you're a serial killer, but like there's a good to it, you know. We'll get into the actual episode, but she's like, you're nature's evolution, which a little bit of a step too far, but the idea that Dexter only kills bad guys, quote unquote, is the silver lining. Like, yeah, it's probably fucked Dexter up in the head, but
yeah,
you know, there's a lot. I mean, they say like, yeah, there's a lot of less people on the street because of Dexter's dark passenger psychopath anything. You're right.
Yeah, I think we're fine. Hold on. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're fine. She's just staring at me.
Oh, you good? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're fine.
okay, sorry. You're right.
Yeah, we're fine.
So our episode starts out with, we see sort of Harry, Morgan back in. God, I should have looked at what year this was, but Dexter's 10, and you know, last episode we left off, we didn't really know who this Evelyn Vogel was, and it turns out she was the creator of the code, so to say. She was the brains behind it. And if you want to say,
I have it in my
Harry
notes
was
that
the
she's the architect behind Dexter.
Sure, I mean she is.
That's how I have it.
And we always had Harry as it, but now we're adding another layer where actually this person was behind it the entire time. I guess right off the bat, I want to say, like, I feel like if you're going to introduce this plot, I think that they did the best they could. Again, it is really tough not talking about what we know in the next 10 episodes and trying to keep it specific to 802. I just kind of, with the only thing, and I said this in our 801 episode, where I'm gonna try and be less negative and offer like what I think could have happened. I think, and again, we'll talk about it later in this episode, because she's like, oh, why did you want to talk about that? Psychopaths don't really have emotions. It's something we always talk about, where Dexter's becoming more human. He's a terrible narrator. So I think what would have been interesting if she showed up in season 5 or somewhere around there, right? And basically her and Vogel over time essentially fight, for lack of a better term, because Dexter's becoming more human and Vogel is kind of like arguing that I thought you were this, but now you're this, you know? That's like my little twist. I could have made it better.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree. No, I agree. Watching just with where we're at right now, this is definitely, I'm really not trying to be negative. It's almost a wasted character to the point right now where I'm just like, why didn't we have this like later on? Like I do kind of feel cheated where I'm just kind of like, okay, like we've been led to believe this whole time that Harry was the creator of the code and did all of this. And now all of a sudden, and which, by the way, everybody watching this, if we're living in the moment, this is episode 2. We know this is the last episode or the last season. This isn't a surprise ending. We know for a fact this is the last season.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like a little like you're being like cheated out because you're like, well, this could have been like, I wish I kind of had known this like later on or earlier than this. So, and it's no disrespect to the director, to the writer, to the definitely to the actress. You know, they're doing with what the best they could. You know, I think like you've said, I think the writers had good intentions in what they were doing. They were just kind of dealt a really shitty card, and that's yeah.
And they do like an interesting twist with it in terms of like Vogel's like, hey, I created you. Also, I need your help. You know, and Dexter's even like, hey, I don't take requests.
Yeah, I don't do requests. That was actually pretty badass.
But it's like, you know,
I'm not Burger King, bitch. Sorry.
So something I didn't even realize here. Do we want to continue with Vogel? Or do we want to start with Deb? I just wanted to talk about the. Okay, you want to just continue on?
Yeah, I mean, well, since we're already talking about it, we might as well.
So again, I think we kind of talked about it already. Vogel's sort of the creator of the code, and just sort of she always was in the shadows, like literally, because Dexter and her have never met. She kind of anoints herself as Dexter's spiritual mother, and sort of the twist here.
You're reading my notes.
What's that? Oh,
like legitimately, I just have that in my notes. It's like not only is Dexter calling the mom, she basically is his mom spiritually.
Right.
That's literally my notes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the twist here is like, you know, she says she's come to Miami because she's getting these cerebral cortexes fucking scooped with a melon ball on her doorstep, and she has no idea who it is. And what we kind of see happen over the course of the episode, it's sort of woven into the two stories of like Dexter's not on his A game in terms of catching this guy, which
right.
You know we'll talk about. Go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
So a note I have to bring up that is it's coming with what you're saying right here. So because Dexter's not on the A game on catching this guy, we know that she's, and I'm not trying to nitpick because I could right now. So she's in Miami, like what you said. We've got this melon ball scooper out there. She's worried a lot about who he is. Like she even says, like, I believe my life is in danger. It's potentially a customer, a previous client, something like that of hers, right? Patient. Not going too much into it because we're only technically on episode 2. This is as far as we know of. Do you think that she has a nagging suspicion of who the killer is?
Shit. Good question.
Yeah.
Good question, because I honestly don't remember how exactly this all. I mean, I know what happens, but I can't remember. I can't remember the intricacies. So your question is, does she know who it is,
or have a suspicion? Like that's my thing. Because
I think she has a suspicion, but I don't think she's. Oh, see. Damn, good question.
That's why.
What do you think? What do you think?
I think she does. I think that she has a very good suspicion of who the killer is. I don't think she knows exactly, but I think in her head, and I'm kind of the same with you. I'm like, oh, wait, how do we find out exactly who the killer is? But something about what she says to him when she's like, it may have been, she says something along the lines of, this may have been a patient or somebody I was close with. She says something along that line. And I was like, that's a really weird wording to say. Like a patient or somebody I was close with, like, because everybody that you're close with apparently may be potentially a melon baller to the brain. Something is just a little off with what she said. I don't remember the exact wording. And by all means, listeners of the show, write in and let me know if she doesn't say something like that. But there's something in the wording when they're in her house that makes me think that she has an idea, which again, it's kind of like, well, why aren't you telling Dexter? But then that could also be a reason why she's not telling Dexter.
So having only episode 1 and 2 in our heads, the reason why, and I'm honestly not, if I agreed with you, I would say I agree with you, and I know I was grappling as I was answering. The reason why I'm going to say she doesn't know and doesn't even have a clue of where to start is because I think what she lays out in this episode is that there's basically too much on the line for her to basically go to the police. Like, she needs a vigilante like Dexter to get this done. So
doesn't she say she's done this before with Dexter? Like, she's put the code into other people. Doesn't she say something along those lines?
She says she's used other methods, but Dexter was special. Dexter was special in terms of creating the code, but no, there's no other people with the code. But she does. Okay. Dexter says, like, why don't you go to the police? She's like, well, essentially, if other people are found out and know I've done unorthodox methods before, I could, and Dexter like kind of finishes her sentence like, yeah, you'd probably be arrested. So all of that taken into account, I'm going to say, and the DI with what we think that they're trying to kill her, I'm going to say she has no idea. All she has is the list of patients.
Okay.
That's just me thinking about it on the spot, and it's a good question that it didn't even cross my mind.
Okay.
So part of that, as we're talking about it, we got a cut scene of the next brain surgeon victim. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is we're going to see later in the episode that he was actually being filmed the whole time. The song makes an appearance, Make Your Own Kind of Music, which I think it's an entire episode title later. And we're going to have some significance to that song later in the season. But when I heard it, I was like, oh, shit, this popped up a lot earlier than I originally remembered. Do you know what I'm talking about, the song?
Mm-mm.
Make your own kind of music. Make your own special song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's playing the first time.
When the bag is going over.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that we're going to see that later in the season. So again, Dexter arrives at the crime scene. And it's kind of cool. It's like a skateboard park, which I feel like I've never seen that in the show. And it's the brain surgeon victim who we just saw the clip of. And this is also the fucking brain that gets sent to Vogel.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said before, Dexter was with Vogel, and he just straight up, he's like, how come I don't even remember you? This is sort of where, I mean, again, it's happened over the seasons, but Dexter's like, hey, when fucking Harry died, I could have really used someone to talk to. Like, why did you fucking still stay in the shadows? And if you see the way Vogel responds to that, where she's like, you wanted to talk about it? And even Dexter's like, well, why is that so interesting? Like, what fucking normal human doesn't need an outlet after their fucking parent or loved one dies? But I think that's where, like, that's the Dexter. He says he's a psychopath. I have no emotions. I have no feelings. He fucking loved Hannah. He loved Lila. He loved Lumen. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say love. He definitely had emotions for them. Yes. But yeah, like the idea that he wanted to talk about it, and it just wasn't like, oh, my dad died, let me go keep killing people. I think that's sort of what sparked my idea of, like, if he would have showed up earlier, like if Vogel would have showed up in season 5, it would have been a cool way that, as the seasons progress, Dexter is becoming more human, and Vogel would have not like been like, hey, this is not the way a psychopath is supposed to act, And I think the emotions thing, too, is always a cop-out for Dexter, where he's like, oh, that's not my fault. Like, I don't have emotions. But clearly,
I have emotions.
Clearly, like, if Vogel was to reassess Dexter, reassess Dexter in 2013 where they are, I think you'd see, like, he's definitely a different monster than what he was. I guess the only person in the world who could tell us if they've ever shown it is Zach. The first crime scene that Harry's talking about, I wonder if that was shown in season 1.
I want to say the earliest crime scene that I know about in the show, and Zach is going to destroy me because I'm probably wrong on this. But the one, because I thought this was his first kill for the longest time, actually, is when the dad is in the hospital and the nurse is poisoning him. And I always thought that was his first kill because Harry was giving him more or less like she's murdering me, get her.
I think it is. I think you're right.
And I thought that was his first kill of all time. Just because of like the way that it was worded, I guess, and stuff like that. So, but obviously I'm wrong because his first kill turns out to be
You are right. It is the nurse from season 1. What I'm talking about was when Harry's talking about Dexter was 10 years old and he brought him to the crime scene. That's what I was talking about.
I'm sorry about that.
I can't remember. I don't think that was ever pictured in this series.
No, not that I know of.
But there is a crime scene they go to. But I think Dexter and Deb are much older. They're teenagers when he brings them by. Because Dexter's even like, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
But I don't think definitely not Dexter when he was 10. So after doing some, detective work as Dexter does, he figures out it's Lyle Sussman. Heads to his cabin, and there's other Miami Metro stuff going on where they're sort of a few steps behind Dexter, which is sort of the formula at this point. Dexter heads to his cabin, and we find out that it's not him. And Vogel and Dexter are sort of going back and forth in terms of like, Vogel's like, I don't know who this is, and Dexter's like, this is the fucking killer. Like, I'm telling you, like, who would know better? You, the fucking therapist, or me, the serial killer who fucking tracks people? And we see that. Fucking Lyle Sussman's hung in his cabin. So, real quick, if you remember this at all, and I don't, but do you remember like back in 2013 being at all surprised that it wasn't him?
No.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. Cool.
I want to say. I was gonna say, to be honest, like 2013 Colton, I want to say I really thought Dr. Vogel was the brain surgeon.
Sure, that would have been interesting to talk about back then. We know she's not, but. Yeah, I could see that. But it's something else I want to bring up. This is definitely a dark and eerie. This is a cool set, for what's going on here. I thought it was pretty cool. The cabin in the woods and all that. And by the way, this Lake Nona, it's in fucking Orlando. This shit's 3 hours away, 4 hours from Miami. This is not like something Dexter
really?
could do. Like in episode 1, I actually meant to bring this up. In episode 1 that they all talk about what?
Is this gonna be like, well, Deb's out of town, she's in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, like dude, we're a half hour away from Miami. If you consider a half hour out of town, like get out of here. Yeah.
To be fair, I only know that because
we did the drive for my bachelor party. If you consider Miami out of town to where you were for my wedding.
It was close enough. We took an Uber. Like it was like I'll pay. We could pay an Uber. It'll be okay.
Yeah, that's something. I wish I was in the writers' room to be like, you guys really think this is out of town? Anyways,
she's out of town. She's all the way in Fort Lauderdale. Something. All
right. So when Dexter comes back to tell Vogel that it wasn't Sussman, him and Vogel are sort of sparring in terms of like. And it's such like a shitty move, but I guess I know why Vogel's saying it, where she's like, well, your type always needs to be in control and you always need to be right. And it's like, no, motherfucker, I am right. But Dexter, and what we see in this episode, and which I think it's really well done, is like we see Dexter spinning out of control when he doesn't have Deb. And it's like the only thing in his life, and we saw it last episode, and we're seeing it more this time. He's quote unquote off his game. I just thought it was really cool how like Dexter his whole shit's thrown off when this thing is going on with Deb, and that's something that Vogel probably can't understand because of the emotional connection Dexter has with Deb, where she doesn't understand he has the emotion. I don't want to talk. Well, I guess I could bring up the end of the episode here because we still have to talk about Deb, where I just love the idea where. I mean, Dexter says it himself, like, I'm fucking Frankenstein. Like, you talk about me like I'm a specimen. And Dexter is so, I'm a piece of shit. I fucking ruin everyone around me. Deb hates me. He's grappling back and forth of whether or not he should try and help her. I mean, he does help her, but even Deb, we'll talk about it. Like, stay the fuck out of my life. My life is shit because of you. And here, where this is where you could really start spinning the wheels on, is Vogel, the brain surgeon, where she's like, nope, you're absolutely perfect the way you are. You're nature's evolution, and he's never gotten the motherly hug like he gets from Vogel at the end of this episode, where she just puts his arms around him like, no, you're perfect. Like, Dexter has never heard that. Obviously from like
right
woman of interest, but not from a mother figure. And who else are you going to hear that from besides a mother figure? I just thought it was a really cool way to start spinning the wheels of like, is this manipulation or not?
I have that in my notes. The hug at the very end, whenever she's doing that. The first time I watched this, not the very first time. I don't remember what I thought the first time in 2013.
Same.
To be honest, I wouldn't have been surprised if I thought like, oh my God, are they going to have a love interest in this? Like some kind of a weird, and I don't mean that like in like a weird thing. Like I could honestly see it maybe happening. But when I rewatched it, so I binged this, like I said, a couple months ago, binged it all the way through, and then I try to watch each episode again 1 or 2 times to take notes and stuff like that. When I was watching it for this recording, one of the things I noticed and I was thinking about when I was doing it was he's never had in the entire episode that I can think of, he's never had a motherly figure. And the closest he honestly that I can think of as ever having on something like this is actually Rita.
Yeah, like, I was just going to say Rita. I agree. Rita's
the closest he's ever had, but that was still a romantic relationship. This is a purely platonic type of thing. And so it was weird, but it was a good weird. It was kind of like, this is uncomfortable a little bit, but I get why they're doing it. Like, I don't know. That's like the only thing I can say on it. It was strange, but I liked it. Like it was a good type of thing to have.
Yeah, and it's like I don't think it's exactly Stockholm syndrome, and that's not the analogy I want to make, but the idea of like Deb's out there making you feel like shit, but mom is here to just tell you you're absolutely perfect and you're just the way you are meant to be in this world. Yeah, it's definitely a rubber band situation, But this is like something where we kind of have to hold everything we think about until we talk about it later. But if I put myself in the 2013 shoes, absolutely she's manipulating him to keep him finding out who this person is. It's like, that's a huge stretch from
or that she's the killer. Like that would have also been my thought process. Like, oh, she's doing this because she's the killer and she's wanting to throw him off or keep him away. I can guarantee you that's what I was probably thinking.
Yeah. The only reason why I don't think I've ever thunk that is only because then that means there's someone else involved. She's not doing it by herself. You know what I mean?
I thought it was her and somebody else.
Right,
but
right.
I thought the main culprit behind it was her.
And we see the video where we know there is someone else out there because we see, then the guy picks up the camera and he's like, nah, don't do it, and held at gunpoint. So we do know there's another character. Clearly, it's not Lyle Sussman. So there is someone else there.
You know what? And this is kind of funny. We were talking about. This is probably going in too much on this. I could almost see myself, and I'm wondering if this was what I was thinking, because you could see there's somebody else behind what you were saying. If this was more like if I was wondering if this was a rip off of Saw, in a way that Vogel was manipulating people to kill for her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I kind of think maybe that's what I was thinking.
I mean,
I don't know.
They set it up.
Getting it. That's how long ago? That's like almost. Yeah, so
I mean, they set it up perfect where
Colton was thinking.
I mean, they set it up perfect where there's someone holding the camera, and it's like, well, how did this get here? Well,
yeah,
maybe I did it. And definitely the way where she's like, I think someone's in my house. Dexter, wait for me. Like, yeah, it's all there if you want it to be. Anything else on Vogel before we move on to Deborah Morgan? So the Deborah Morgan plot this episode, damn, she gets the shit kicked out of her to sort of set up where she is. Deb, we see her at Elway's office, and she's sort of recapping what happened. They're sort of going over what exactly happened, and she doesn't want to talk about. Go ahead.
I just have to put this in here because this is going to come up for my notes later on, and I remember this. Drinking a fancy drink. Remember this.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. Just remember this. That's all I'm putting out there.
Sort of to set up what happens is Deb is going over what happened with Elway. They go to Briggs' house to find out where the storage container is, where the jewelry is that Briggs had that he was going to fucking sell to El Sapo, the big toad. And sort of, let me comment this because I am trying to get Marissa on an episode, but she is watching it with me where she wasn't watching any of Dexter with me.
Okay.
She brought it up, and,
Very cool.
and she had a point, and she was like, when the second episode started, she was like, oh, I know what's going to happen. Deb's going to go to the storage container. El Sapo's going to be there, probably going to beat her up. And I was kind of like, did you watch this before? But being that we saw El Sapo tail Deb, like, so we kind of did know something. There was going to be an altercation, you know?
Yeah.
But when he showed, so Deb is at the storage container and she finds the jewelry. If you take the television aspect reality out of it, he kills her, right? Because he's fucking kicking her ribs and shit. Like, that is brutal what El Sapo does to Deb.
He's a hitman. Why doesn't he kill her?
Oh, I think he clearly says, you're lucky I'm not getting paid to kill you.
I think that's a cop-out TV moment. Like that's my opinion, at least. I mean, that's all that is. But
sure. I mean, if we had more story on El Sapo, then maybe. But
he's the toad.
If we had the toad, I sure. I was thinking the more the TV moment is, this guy's kicking. Do you know, like in any form of media you see, if someone is on the floor and you kick them in all your might in their fucking chest plate area, you're damaging organs. You're having crazy damage to your infrastructure. And the way I don't know, just the way he's kicked. To me, it was a little bit more brutal when you see violence towards women. And this is not a violence against women thing. I'm just saying, like, Deborah has a smaller frame, so when she's getting fucking kicked by El Sapo, in my head I was like, that's broken bones, that's a broken rib cage, you know. But whatever, that's getting far into the other side of it. So what we come to find out later, after this altercation, and it's not shown on screen till much later, is that after she gets the shit kicked out of her, she fucking comes back out, shoots El Sapo. Is that intentional, where she just starts shooting like crazy to make it look like this was like a crazy gun situation?
I actually have it in my notes. I think she snapped. Okay. I think she snapped. Sorry about that. Because this is a moment. Okay. Deb has killed before. LaGuardia out of the equation. That doesn't count in this situation. Deb has killed before. Okay. In the line of duty, not for funsies or anything like that. Right. But in the line of duty, unfortunately, she's had to pull her firearm and she's had to kill. Right. So
I'm only laughing because you said not for funsies.
Not for funsies. Okay. Not that LaGuardia was obviously funsies, because it definitely was not. So, but she has had to use her firearm before, because like what was it? That was what got her promoted, was the
shooting of the restaurant guy and
nightclub.
No.
The nightclub.
Season.
No, remember there was the nightclub. Her and Quinn were in the nightclub.
Oh, it was dinner. It was dinner because they were getting proposed. Quinn was going to propose to her, and that was one of the line cooks.
That's right. Yeah,
you're confusing the nightclub with season 5, and they all get dressed up and do the thing. I think is what you're doing.
So she under pressure, she knows how to use her firearm. That's been established.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she has, like I said, she has killed, right? So I think what happened with this situation is she was, one, beat the fuck up, okay? And 2, she didn't kill him because my life is in danger anymore. Because as you even said, he said to her, well, I'm not getting paid to do this, right? Even if that, like, because I didn't realize, I guess, in my head that he had said that and stuff like that, but he's leaving. He's not going to kill her. Like, had he wanted to kill her, he already would have. She's literally killing him at that point because she's just tired. Like, she's tired of getting the shit knocked out of her. She's tired of being the scapegoat for Dexter. She's tired of living with the subconscious of killing LaGuardia, that I think that everything is coming in, and she's just like, fuck this, and she goes, and it's just pure raw emotion that she's shooting, and so it's just all over the place.
Right.
Like, that's all that it is.
It's not trained
No,
policeman
it's
shooting.
pure.
Yeah. And again, we've seen she's been taking all these drugs, and she fucking just goes home and sleeps it off.
too.
So like, no, like to your point, like, yeah, she's not shooting like a trained fucking policeman. She's shooting like a fucking off the hinges, depressed, whatever, anything other thing you want to add to it. And Deb is crazy because her hair is crimped. It's like crimped, so she's nuts. I love that stupid little touch, but it's funny. Something here that I heard, and I watched this a second time where I picked it up. In the beginning, we also get the origin of the blood slide. When Harry is talking with Vogel, he's like, on the way home, I fucking found Dexter took a piece of glass with the blood in it.
I didn't catch that till the third time watching this.
Oh, about the blood slides?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that until literally I was taking notes today on it. I watched it 2013, didn't catch it that I can think of. Binge watched it, then watching it today, did not get it.
But what I picked up this time is Dexter does that same exact thing for Deb here. Remember when they're all at the crime scene and he's looking at the glass and he's like, wait, there's blood here. I think the killer's blood.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I still haven't caught that. I got to rewatch it.
and it's different from a blood slide because a blood slide is rectangular and it's pre-cut.
Yeah,
and you could fucking buy it. What it sounds like Harry described is there was blood on the floor. And again, even Dexter says like, Dexter was looking at it like it was a painting. And he's like, Dexter was like, he does the inner monologue like, yeah, I did think it was a painting and I wanted to be the artist. So he mentions how he took a piece of glass with blood on it home, and that kind of scared Harry. Dexter at the crime scene, after they all get to El Sapo's body, he's like looking around and he notices blood, and he's doing the thing where he sees where the killer could have shot from, but he sees the piece of blood and he takes it. So I was just like, oh shit, you're talking about two instances. Is that like the origin of the blood slide and like what it's come to? Actually, you know what? I just figured it out on the spot. You're talking about the origin of the blood slide and the code and what it's done to Dexter's life has all the way transformed into Dexter has to save Deborah's life from fucking getting arrested for killing this El Sapo, saving her with the same piece of glass with blood on it. I like that because it's subtle. Oh shit, what?
Deb killed the people that Harry took him to go look at the crime scene. All right, sorry.
We are the fucking solvers of the Dexter universe right here, guys.
Murder, She Wrote. Sorry.
At the same time that Dexter realizes Deb shot El Sapo, Deb comes into Miami Metro to sort of talk about with Quinn. Actually, you know what? I want to get this out of the way now because it is a moment and it is sort of our YouTube video background. So again, we just weekly mention that Quinn and Jamie are now dating, and she comes. Wait, what do you got?
Sorry, I just because I know that this is more than likely where this is going, and I just want to be verification on my notes. I could care less about Quinn and Deb and Jamie. Shut the fuck up. Okay, just so we can be clear, that's in my notes right here. Okay.
Unfortunately,
I don't know if that's where you're going, but I have a feeling that's kind of where you're going.
I'm not. There was something funny I picked up on.
Oh, damn it.
No.
Okay, sorry.
But to your point, and again, I don't think Amy Garcia's character arc over the final 3 seasons that she's in, I don't think they gave her shit to do. And I think this season, holy fuck, we're going to talk about what they try to do to Masuka this season. Fuck. Mm-hmm. But what they do with her, all they've turned Jamie, the character, into is just a typical whiny woman, which, like, she's not. Like, I could just tell. I mean, you know what? Let me take this back. That is such a poor thing to do to a actress. Like, she could have been so many other things, especially as like Harrison's nanny and whatnot. Like, it's kind of shitty that she just turns into this whiny thing. So when you're saying like shut the fuck up, it's like, yeah, because they make her, all she does is complain. She is a obnoxious girlfriend where, to be fair, if every time you met up with your girlfriend and all she was doing was checking on her ex-boyfriend, you'd probably be the same fucking way. But like, let's give her a little bit more to work with.
Why aren't you sergeant yet? Why aren't you doing this? We need to do this. You need to do. We've been dating for 3 months. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and it's like you said, it's nothing against the actress, because this is a nitpick I am going to do to the max on this. They didn't know what to do with her character, but they didn't want to write her out for whatever reason. I would have rather them write her out at this point, because now you're taking this character and you're making her shitty.
Yeah.
But she wasn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't a shitty character to begin with. So
she was the closest person to Dexter outside of Deb. Like, there's so much you can do with that. But whatever. That's for a later episode.
That's
the only thing I wanted to talk about was, and again, it's our backdrop for this episode on YouTube. Again, check us out on YouTube. Just the way that Batista is watching telenovelas at home. I just think it's the funniest thing. You don't remember when she walks in?
I didn't catch it.
So what do you think this scene is from? When he's watching the... oh, wait, you're not looking...
I think in the background, I didn't really notice it.
Yeah, because it's a guy and a girl yelling at each other in Spanish, and then I think, very scarily, the guy slaps the girl, but I think she has like a gun pointed at his head, or vice versa. But they're arguing. It's a telenovela, and if you don't, and the telenovelas,
I know what telenovelas are. Yeah,
and I just want to explain it in case you don't. It's those very soapy, dramatic spat. If you ever watch, there's a great episode on Modern Family where the end of the episode, 17 different people end up being the father of this child, and the mother can't go because the nun who's there to pray for the family was actually wants to take the baby, and turns out she's this like super sexy nurse. Everyone is good looking on a telenovela. It's very dramatic. The Spanish version with dramatized accents of Days of Our Lives, I guess, is a great way I could put it. And it's just funny that that's what Batista is watching, because then even they replicate it, and I think it's the only time on the show she speaks Spanish. She walks out of the scene yelling at Batista for butting into their relationship. So I think that there was like the kind of connection that it's also like a telenovela. And like, listen, if you took away all the killing and everything, the Batista, Quinn, and Jamie triangle, that is a telenovela. Like, the brother is
It is.
And he's telling him that he's got to be a detective, and he can't be a detective if he wants to date his daughter.
My mind is being blown right now. You're right. It actually is.
So I thought it was a cool little thing, which I wonder if you have to give a little bit of a nod to Michael C. Hall for doing that, because everything we're talking about, this is all under the Michael C. Hall directorial lens. Yeah. Regardless. So Deb has this panic attack when she's sort of being interviewed from Quinn about El Sapo. Mm-hmm. They go back into this hallway, which I loved from season 7. If you remember, there was the episode, the alley. I forget what episode it was. Buck the System. No, I think it was Run, where they're fighting in that hallway. Deb is like, I need you to trust me. We can change who you are. Mm-hmm. And then finally, at the end of the episode, Dexter's at the beach, so we have this like super tight, congested, claustrophobic alleyway that they're fighting in at the end. And I'm talking about season 7. At the end, it's the beach, and Dexter's now free and in the clear. I love that they come back here, because it's solely on Dexter of how shitty this situation is and how he tries to fix it. I didn't clip it because I just sort of forgot. I fucking love when Dexter's like, and this is such a shitty thing to do, when Dexter's like, well, what if I wasn't there to save you, to help you with the gun? And Deb, like and then this is where I think seasons past, I would have been so mad at them, because Deb has the perfect response. Like, do you really want to fucking play the what if game? Because I'll fucking win every time. And she goes deep. Well, what if fucking Harry never picked you up from that storage container? That's like you should have been shishmorted. I don't even want to say the word, because it's like
no. I actually have that in my notes because of what's going to happen. Do you mind if I carry on?
Go ahead.
What's going to happen? Yeah. Okay, so from the alleyway, we find out that that she's obviously guilty of the murder of the Toad. Hold on. All right, so she's obviously guilty of the murder of the Toad, right? So, anyways, Dexter's role now, his job in this is to protect her. Okay, so he goes into the break room, or the evidence room, to switch out the guns. Okay, I was like, this is so amazing because they have completely switched roles at this point now. Because Dexter didn't kill shit. Dexter did not kill a single person, right?
Wow.
Let me double check on my head.
I didn't even think of that.
He didn't kill anybody this entire episode. She has killed somebody that she didn't have any right to kill, technically. Yes, he beat the shit out of her and all that, legality-wise, blah, 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 right? She didn't have to kill him, okay? So they've completely switched roles at this point. Now, this is something that Dexter would have done to protect himself, and he makes mention of that in his narration. But it's awesome to see this because she's putting this guilt trip on him, and that's the least amount that Dexter can do to help her. Okay, because there's 1,000 things that this chick could have done, and I say this chick, Deb, could have done this entire show to take him down. The least he can do is switch out some guns. Like,
right.
I'm being
right,
serious. Like,
right.
the least he can do is do that.
Yeah.
So, like, that just blew my mind how well they did that.
I didn't even catch that. That's a good catch.
I love that.
Yeah,
that was like one of my favorite parts of this whole episode.
And the what if game, Deb's fucking right, because she could have fucking, like, I almost wished, like, well, what if fucking roles were reversed? That would have been a little too on the nose where someone like me didn't catch that. But yeah, that's a really good way of changing the Dexter. What do you call that? The trope. Where Dexter's always the one doing that, whatever, and Deb's always the one. Like, yeah, now you flip it on its head, and it's a little bit more erratic because
he even says something along the lines like I don't like the way this feels, or he says something like when he's he's switching out the guns. I don't remember what it is.
I'll never get used to doing this for Deb.
That's what it is.
Yeah, like no matter how many times I come in this evidence room, I do it for me. I'll never get used to doing it for Deb. Yeah. And the way, and the only other note I had, and then there's something I wanted to bring up because I don't want to say I was ever in this position because my sister didn't kill someone or whatever, but I don't want to get too into it, but like I've had this moment in my life, but Batista mentions that they're all going to Papa's for drinks, and Deb pulls up and she just watches everyone, and she's like legit, like she's shell-shocked, right? Like she can't even go out there to like whatever, and just seeing her like stare at Quinn, and then Quinn starts to look at her, and like she clearly doesn't want to have the conversation of like, well, what's wrong? Why are you sitting in your car? But I felt so legitimately sad for the Deb character, where she was just like, just the idea of like you have to sit in your car and watch everyone else enjoy their life, and you're just stuck in like what she calls herself when she tells Dexter like, this shithole that's my life. In my head, to me emotionally, how down they've brought her character, and we're gonna see how far this goes with Deb. To me, that was like a real impactful moment for me. I was just like, fuck, that sucks so bad for Deb. Like, that really is shitty, everything she's going through. And then the one, I think this is Dexter's voiceover, but it's a perfect way to encapsulate the episode. Deb doesn't want my help, and Vogel's demanding it. It's like a perfect, capsule for this episode. That's all my notes for the episode. You have anything else on here?
Nope.
Yep. Is the next week's episode What's Eating Dexter Morgan or What's Eating Dexter? What's Eating Dexter Morgan? I think this is a fun episode next week. I'm not 100% sure. I think we get the funniest face from Michael C. Hall ever. If you remember what scene I'm talking about.
No.
When he opens the freezer. Let's all keep that in mind if you're joining us in a rewatch. Towards the end, we'll talk about it. I guess we are planning to do a live stream from here on out of episode 3, whether it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll throw out links ahead of time. Probably I can't do Friday, so probably Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday. But we'll figure it out and join us for the live stream, because a lot of these stuff we could have probably vibed off the chat, gotten some answers or anything. Once again, definitely throw us some reviews on iTunes just to help us.
Mhm.
I think the goal of that is if when people type Dexter, we're the first one that shows up, the more reviews that come in. We're always trying to grow this little community, so definitely if you can. And Colton, we have to start talking offline about how to do this movie voting thing because I have to remember to do it too.
Yes, yeah, we definitely need to do that again. Just a reminder of what's going to happen. We're going to post it, so it's not like you need to email it in. We'll probably do more than likely a simple, straight up post on the actual Facebook page where it'll be like you just pick one or the other, and then that's all. That's the only choices where. We're going to do a special episode where we'll do a review of either Mr. Brooks or American Psycho, because those two movies, me and Victor were talking. I'm sorry, me and Victor were talking offline, and those two movies we would consider representing Dexter more than any other movies. We tried to add in a third, and we just couldn't quite figure out where a third one goes. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We couldn't figure out the third, and so we stuck with those two because those two, there's obvious continuity between the two of them. Well, three when you include Dexter and stuff like that, but
Shrek.
They do a really good job, so it would fit in perfect with this show.
Yeah.
And it would be a fun little change up, just something a little bit different, a little refresher, if you will.
Yeah.
So when we get that up, we'll have the voting going for a couple days. We'll get that figured out. Yeah.
Yep. And with that being said, we will talk to you next week to discuss episode 803, What's Eating Dexter Morgan. And until then, we'll talk to you then.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. I stopped on Zencaster. Hold on. I got to stop our
cool.
OBS. Bye, everybody.